If you've ever looked at your property management statement and thought, where the hell did all my cash flow go? Well, this video is for you. Hey, before we dive in, do me a favor, hit that like and subscribe button. Don't forget to tag the notification bell so you don't miss my next breakdown. I'm Bud Evans. I'm a former Air Force officer, former police officer, and a full-time real estate investor. I love to help veterans and first responders achieve financial freedom through rental property investing, one system and one smart decision at a time. And today I'm going to break down the truth about property management costs. What's fair, what's inflated, and how to make sure that your property manager is earning every penny that they get paid. And I'm pulling directly from my experience at running Second Street Property Management here in New Jersey. So you'll see exactly why my structure fees, manage expenses, and protect investor profits. Stick around till the end because I've got a property management checklist that I'll be more than happy to provide you so that you can evaluate your property manager and negotiate with your next one should you decide that they're not working for you. Now let's get started. First, understanding the real cost of property management. Most investors, they assume that property management is just 10% of the rent and that's the end of it, right? No, wrong. The 10% is just the base fee. The real cost of management comes from how your company handles everything. And it's everything outside of that number. So at Second Street Property Management, our base management fee of 8% covers rent collection, tenant communication, and routine reporting. But property manager costs can also include leasing fees when you're placing a new tenant, renewal fees when you sign their lease back up again, because there is still a review that needs to be done, maintenance coordination and the hiring of contractors, inspection fees, marketing or setup fees for your property, eviction coordination or eviction payment or court costs. So before you ever sign an agreement, you need to understand exactly what's included in your fee structure and what's extra. Here's the truth. Most management companies make money when stuff goes wrong. They aren't trying to rip you off. They just have different structures. And if you don't read the fine print, you're going to wind up paying a lot more than you ever expected. The best way to protect yourself is to understand exactly what you're paying for. And you want to make sure that those costs are tied to performance. Number two is the percentage trap. Why 10% isn't always 10%. And let's say your rent is $1,500 a month. 10% management fee means you're paying $150 a month, right? Maybe. But here's what happens in the real world. If the property sits vacant for a month, that same manager might still charge a minimum or a flat vacancy fee, even though you're not even collecting rent. And if they charge leasing separately, you could pay another 1 month's rent just for refilling the unit. That means in your first year, your property management costs could cost you somewhere around 18 to 20%, not 10. Now, that's not automatically bad if they're actually delivering results. The question you have to ask is, are they adding enough value to justify that additional cost? Good property managers are going to fill your properties quickly. They're going to reduce your tenant turnover. They're going to handle your maintenance efficiently. They're going to prevent legal or compliance issues. And those savings are going to well outweigh the higher percentage. But you need to measure performance, not promises. Let's talk about leasing and renewal fees because they are really kind of a hidden multiplier here. One of the biggest blind spots for new landlords is the leasing and renewal fee. Most property managers charge between 50 and 100% of 1 month's rent to place a new tenant. And that covers marketing and showings and screening and lease prep. But at Second Street, I charge a flat 50% leasing fee, and that covers everything. But only after the tenant passes our ridiculous vetting process. It is very tough. And then the lease is signed. And there's a reason that we have tenants that have been living with us for 5, 6, 7 years. We have a couple that have been for 9. There's the renewal fee, which is 25 to 50% of a month's rent. And that's where managers handle the renewal process and negotiate rate increases and re-sign tenants. We charge a flat $250 fee. And here's where investors lose money. If your manager is turning tenants every year instead of renewing them, you're paying full leasing fees annually. You're losing vacancy losses plus your turnover costs. And then they're taking your first month's rent anyway. So ask your property manager for their renewal rate and their percentage of tenants that they keep in a year. By the way, if it's below 60%, run away. Just they're probably overpaying and generating that leasing turn by screwing up. All right, number 4 is maintenance, which is really kind of the silent killer. We do an inspection at the beginning to tell you everything that needs to be done to the property. That's where most property managers make profits, right? And your profits disappear. Sometimes that's where they hide their markups. Now, let me be transparent. Markups aren't bad. They're not inherently bad anyway. Coordinating maintenance does take time, liability, and administrative work. And if we are running a project for you, we do charge a 15% fee. But simple stuff, we're just going to get it done. We do charge that small coordination fee for maintenance over a certain threshold, but we never upcharge. That's ridiculous. We don't charge for materials, and we don't use surprise labor costs. We use Vendoroo, which is an AI-based contractor platform. You will get 24/7, 365 maintenance, keeping bids transparent and timelines accountable. Now, here's what to watch for in your agreement. Automatic vendor charges without estimates, that's a problem. Preferred vendors with inflated pricing, ours, we keep them low or we're moving on. And lack of photo proof of work orders. We take photographs before, during, and after. Here's how to fix it. You require that photo documentation of every repair. You make sure that they're being sent directly to you. You set approval limits for everything. We have $250, which requires owner approval, anything over that. And then ask for multiple bids on larger projects. I'll get them for you. You're not micromanaging, you're managing your investment. You've got to run this like a business. All right, number 5, vacancy and turnover are really hidden costs of management. Every month that a unit sits vacant, you're losing 1/12 of your annual income. And yet, some managers treat vacancies as business as usual. We do not. I get gut punched every time one of our tenants decides to move out. I track days to lease. Our average number of days between move in and move out is around 4 to 10 days. And that's a standard turn. And that's because we start promoting the property 30 days before they move out. If your property manager isn't tracking or reporting vacancy time, that is a red flag. The best managers will prevent vacancy by starting renewal conversations 90 days before lease ends. That's what we do. Conducting pre-move out inspections and prep early. We also do that. Marketing the unit before the current tenant leaves. Like I said, 30 days prior, we are marketing that unit. It's not about working faster. It's about working smarter. Vacancy control is where the best managers will protect your income while at the same time keeping your tenants happy. Communication and transparency really is a true value multiplier here. A property manager's greatest cost isn't always financial. A lot of times it's just emotional. When owners feel ignored, they start losing trust. Now, at Second Street, our standards include monthly financial reporting. We do produce an owner statement. We do real-time updates through the owner's portal. We do biannual inspections. We do automated maintenance alerts so that you know exactly what's going on every time somebody goes out to your house. We do quarterly performance calls, and heck, clients call me all the time and I answer the phone. And if I can't, I get back to them. Good communication here will eliminate surprise costs because you know what's happening. You want to know what's happening before the invoice really hits, right? And if your property manager only contacts you, God forbid they only contact you if something goes wrong, even if it's that often, that's not management, it's damage control. And you need to be proactive. You deserve those proactive updates, not postmortems. Number 7 is choosing the right management partner. What does good value look like? A great property manager should protect your investment through compliance and tenant quality. You want to maximize returns through renewals and cost control. You want to save time. They're going to save you time by handling the details that you don't want to. But value is about balance. If they're too cheap, and you're going to pay later in vacancy and turnover and headaches. But if they're too expensive, you're just going to erode your cash flow. And maybe you're not getting what you're paying for. So here's how to vet them like a pro. Ask about their average tenant stay length. Ask them how many doors per manager will they handle. Now, with AI and all that stuff, I would have said anything over 100 is a concern, but you can now handle 150 to 200 doors depending on what processes. So make sure that you're reviewing their processes and their communications over time and their response time. And request a copy of their fee schedule and look for everything in writing in the contract. Read the fine print. Remember, you're not hiring an employee here. You're forming a partnership. This is a business relationship. The right manager should make you more money, not less. Now, how do you negotiate without burning bridges? You can absolutely negotiate property management fees, but you have to do it strategically. Start by understanding what exactly you're asking for. If your property is newer, you know there's going to be lower maintenance. Or you're in a desirable area, you know that you can leverage for lower rates If it's older and high maintenance or it's remote, you're going to have to expect to pay a little bit more. When you negotiate, though, you want to focus on performance-based incentives instead of flat discounts. For example, if vacancy stays below 5%, I'll pay the full rate. If renewal rates exceed 75%, I'll bonus the team. That way, you know that your goals are in alignment with theirs. Never negotiate for just, I can't tell you how many people call me and say, I'll pay you 6, I'll pay you 5. Don't negotiate for the lowest number. Negotiate for the best outcome, right? When should you bring management in-house? If you're scaling 20 to 30 units, and this is what happened to us, it might make sense to build your own internal management system. And that's exactly how Second Street Property Management got started. It was out of necessity because people started dropping the ball. I was tired of poor communication. I was tired of high turnover. I had misaligned incentives. They made more money when my properties were vacant or, turning over all the time than they did when I was full. So we built a model focused on owner transparency, tenant retention, systems automation. If you're not ready to build a full company, you can still bring parts of it in-house. You can handle leasing yourself, but maybe outsource the maintenance. You can manage communication, but automate accounting. You can hire a part-time VA to manage, tenant requests and maintenance requests. That hybrid approach, you can control that without chaos. All right, let's talk 10. Track the right metrics. What gets measured gets managed. So at the end of the day, you can't improve what you don't measure. You need key performance indicators. So here are the KPIs that every investor should track, but definitely must track. So rent collected versus rent expected, your number of days to lease, your renewal rate, your maintenance cost per door. When mine was jumping to over $500 per door per month in Pittsburgh, I knew I had a problem. Review these quarterly with your manager. When one metric dips, find out why and fix it fast. It's not about micromanaging your manager. It's about owning your outcomes. There's a reason we went through 3 different property managers, and that was, just really bad service. Recap, retention incentives. Let's recap the truth about property management, though. I want you to understand the costs and how you control them. So know what's included. The base fee is just the start. Avoid the percentage trap. Measure value, not just the rate. Watch your leasing and renewal fees. And just remember that turnover here kills profit. Control your maintenance. Transparency prevents overcharges. Stay on top of your deferred maintenance. Don't leave that up to chance. Track your vacancy and your communication, your time and trust. That's money. Vet and negotiate smart and align incentives for actual results. And then measure your KPIs because, guys, math isn't magic. The numbers don't lie. When you know these numbers, property management stops being an expense and it becomes an investment in your time and your freedom. If you need any help getting started, jump over to budevans.com, book a 30-minute strategy session. It's free. There's no obligation. I will remind you that you have to be a veteran or a first responder to book time on my calendar. All right, look, if this breakdown was useful, do me a favor, hit like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell so you don't miss my next breakdown. I am Bud Evans. Aim high, execute fast. I'll see you on the next video.